Hey, what's up? My name's Grant Kanoki. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, and artist, and you're listening to Power 98.5.
We don't play the social game. We are social. Power 98.5. You're listening to Power 98.5, powered by United Angels Dream, your number one resource for public relations, entertainment, and multimedia. Contact them today at unitedangelsdream.com.
Hi, this is Dan Aykroyd. He's progressive. He's beautiful. He's thoughtful. He's intelligent. He's powerful. He's positive. He is Steven Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio.
Empowering listeners from the US to the UK. Live on air with Steven Cuoco.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You are listening to Live on Air with Steven Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio. You can tune in to all things Power 98.5 on the Power 98.5 iOS or Android app, Alexa. Go to the power985.com. Got any questions, comments, you want to submit any suggestions, insights, click the little tick down at the bottom right-hand corner of the website, or if you're on a mobile app, and send us your message. We have with us today George Chakiris. George Chakiris is an American actor. He is best known for his appearance in a 1961 film version of West Side Story as Bernardo Nuñez, the leader of the Sharks gang, for which he won both the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor and the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor Motion Picture. With us right now, Mr. George Chakiris. Good morning, George.
Hi, good morning. Good to be with you.
You too, and you've got a book that's currently out or coming out. Tell us more about that.
Yes, I do. Well, let's see. I did this book last year with a wonderful writer. His name is Lindsay Harrison. I've forgotten exactly. I think it came out March of last year, and I've been doing promotion on and off since then. It's called, you won't be surprised, it's called My West Side Story. The publishers thought that would be a good title, and I thought it made sense. So yes, it's a memoir, and it sort of covers life in general and career and so on. It was interesting, kind of fun to do at the same time.
Did you always think that your career, your life was going to lead in this moment to acquire the award you have now, being an author?
God, no, not at all. There's so many things that I think about. I mean, winning an Academy Award, Rita Unrust and I having our footprints at Grum's Chinese. I mean, different things you would never think could happen, but very nicely they did happen. So you never know what to expect, and you never really expect anything. You just work and concentrate on the work and hope that is good.
What's incredible is you were born in Norwood, Ohio. Your family are Greek immigrants from Turkey.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. My parents came over. My father came over with his parents when he was about 12, and with his brother as well. He was 2 years older. And when my father and his brother, my uncle, were of varying age, when they were respectively both, I think, 20 and 22, my grandfather went back to the village in Turkey, a Greek village in Turkey that they had come from, to find two girls to marry his two boys. So, and that's what he did. He went and found two. It turned out really wonderful young women, and they met at the train station in Florida, of all places, and because that's where my grandfather had been working as well. And they met at the train station. My mother tells me she remembers my grandfather saying, because he didn't know which boy was going to go with which girl. So he said, "This one is for you, and this one is for you." And that's how my parents met. So it was. I just love that story.
What's incredible is you're one of 8 siblings. Now, where do you fall within that? Are you the oldest, the middle, the youngest?
I'm pretty much halfway. Yes, There were 4 older and 3 younger. I think I've got that right. So yes, I fell in the middle.
What was life like growing up, being one of 8? Long Beach, California is where your family moved to back in 1944
Yes.
when you were 12. How much has life changed since your life in Long Beach to now 2022?
Wow. Well, life has changed a lot because the world has changed a lot, it seems. Because listen, growing up in Long Beach, going to junior high school and finally to high school in Long Beach and graduating from high school and then going to City College as well for a few semesters. I mean, life was sweet and uncomplicated. And when you're younger, you don't, you just take things as they are. And I luckily, my brothers and sisters now were very lucky to be born in the family that we were born into, because my parents were 2 of the most beautiful people you would ever want to meet. So we grew up in a loving household. I didn't think of it at the time, but looking back, I realized how blessed we were to have the background that we did, because it was. We were loved, we were supported. My parents were happy to help us do whatever we wanted to do. So when I took an interest I didn't know it was showbiz. When I took an interest in dancing and singing and things like that, my parents were totally supportive of that and didn't think I was being silly, So it was when I look back on those years, junior high school, it was a really beautiful, sweet, uncomplicated time. So it's just, you look back on it like it's just a lovely dream. It just couldn't have been better.
What's been the best role for you that you've ever had the opportunity to star in, George?
Well, listen, I've been lucky because I've gotten to do some wonderful things in theater as well. And, theater people don't usually know much about because it doesn't get any exposure the way film does. But in film, there are 3 films that I got to make that I really loved making. And one of the first was, of course, West Side Story. And then I did an Italian film called Bebo's Girl with Claudia Cardinale. That was a beautiful experience. That was an Italian film it was a true story, and I loved working with her and with the Italian director. Then I also did a French film called The Young Girls of Rochefort, a musical. Gene Kelly was in it as well. That was one. And in theater, I got to do M. Butterfly. I did that in London. I played the Passion of Dracula, of all things, at the Queen's Theatre in London as well. So I've had wonderful experiences in the theatre as well. And again, it's interesting. Your question is so good because the most important part, whether it's film or theater, is the material. Is it well written? Is it a good play? And that doesn't always happen. It didn't happen to me always either, but the times that it did happen were just memorable and made everything worthwhile,
Are you ready to go back in time with us, back to the Oscars, back to when you won Best Supporting Actor for your performance in West Side Story at the 34th Academy Awards in 1962?
Correct, yeah.
Presented by Shirley Jones.
Oh gosh, Shirley, yes. Shirley became a good friend as well, coincidentally. Yeah, I remember that evening very well because Rita Moreno and I attended together, and we were good friends. Of course, we've been good friends ever since. But I remember there was a limousine that was going to take us to the awards and all of that. And I had my tux, so I probably had tails for that night. And anyway, the car came and got me first. Then we went to get Rita, and as she was coming out the door, she said, "I'm practicing my loser's face." What I remember about that night, of course, is how the good fortune I had, and the thing that made the evening so perfect was because Rita had the same good fortune, and we went together, we got lucky together, we had a great time at the party afterwards. You couldn't ask for a more perfect evening. It was tremendous.
We are going to play. Here's what we're going to do, George. We're going to go down memory lane, and we're going to play the clip of you winning this award. Are you ready to go back in time and hear this?
Sure, that's fun.
All right, here we go, George. All right, so once again, we've got George Chakiris winning his award for Best Supporting Actor for his performance in West Side Story at the 34th Academy Awards in 1962, presented by Shirley Jones.
We come now to the award for Best Supporting Actor. Those in contention are fellows who played a juvenile delinquent, a Nazi, a gangster, a gambler, and a pool room hustler. Now you know why I turned down the title role in The Story of Albert Schweitzer. Ross Russell's going to play it. To present this award, here is last year's Oscar winner for Best Supporting Actress, Miss Shirley Jones. Shirley, why is it that you and I have never made a picture together?
Well, Bob, you know that old saying, you can't win them all?
Yes.
Well, you can't lose them all either.
I've come close.
The nominees for Best Performance by an Actor in a Supporting Role are George Chakiris in West Side Story, Montgomery Clift in Judgment at Nuremberg, Peter Falk in Pocketful of Miracles, Jackie Gleason in The Hustler, George C. Scott in The Hustler. And the winner's name is in this envelope. The winner is George Chakiris in West Side Story.
I don't think I'll try and talk too much. I just want to say thank you very, very much. Thank you.
What was it like to hear that moment again, George?
Well, I'm reminded, by the way, it was Bob Hope who introduced Shirley. And what I thought of it, boy, it takes a while to get from your seat up to the stage. and clearly I had nothing prepared. I didn't know what to say, so I just said, thank you. It was probably the shortest speech on record. Rita's acceptance speech was just as short as mine, so neither of us were prepared. But it was it's like, it's so corny to say it, but it's impossible to describe what that feels like. I can never come up with adjectives that are appropriate, but it's just you're in a daze, and but at the same time, you know that something really quite terrific has happened, and so you're on a cloud as well. It was tremendous. And again, the thing that made it so beautiful is the fact that Rita and I attended together. We've been friends all these years, and we both felt like it together. So it was just a beautiful evening. And that getting up to the stage takes some time, but there it is. There it is. Yeah. You
looked really dashing in that moment.
Well, yeah, you know what? It helps to be younger. You always look better when you're younger.
Well, it's the Greek genes that really have kept you looking timeless.
Well, you know, my parents both had serious longevity. My mother was 104 when we lost her. Her father was 107. So listen, I don't know how much longer I've got, but hopefully I can follow in those footsteps. But and also, you know, when my mother and father first met at the train station in Florida, my mother later said, she said, I'm so glad I got the good-looking one." So my father was a good-looking man, and my mother was just lovely. So we all got lucky because of them.
Being that you're Greek, Bernardo, he in that character, in that role, he is Puerto Rican. He's a migrant, and founder and leader of the Sharks. Was there any difference? What was time like back then, playing a role that is of ethnicity? Was it very accepting back then? How open was the world when it came to cinema and theater and film for ethnic roles or ethnic portrayed roles?
I think was very open and very, very accepting. Just as a reminder, Anthony Quinn, a Mexican playing Zorro the Greek, a kind of reverse situation, if you like. That was not unusual. You know, that just was the way things happened. And it's gotten so political now. Unfortunately, I think the politics get in the way of people being creative. But at that time, none of that certainly never crossed my mind. I don't think it crossed anybody's mind. It just wasn't in the mindset of at the time. It's become very much in the mindset these last couple of years, and I think that's very. I don't think that's a great thing, because I think it limits people's creative input and being able to work to think creatively as opposed to politically, because it is a creative business, and that's the creativity is what counts, and that's what allows people to achieve what they hope to achieve when they write, direct, act, or whatever. Yeah, but at that time, none of that existed. I never thought of it. Never crossed my mind. I don't think it crossed anybody's mind. It just wasn't that way.
Do you know the difference or where it may have changed or became disconnected within the industry to where things are just so much more the way they are now, not as open?
Well, I'm not really sure exactly. I just like all of us, you hear things in bits and pieces, and I don't know if any of it is true because it's hearsay. But for example, with Gone with the Wind and people thinking it should be thrown away, I remember that Queen Latifah. I'm not saying this is true, just what I heard. Queen Latifah was of the mind that it should be abandoned, should be put away, and Whoopi Goldberg, they're both black, thought, no, it's history. You don't throw this stuff away. You have to learn with it and live with it. And of course, I think Whoopi Goldberg was the one who was right. You don't throw away history because it's history. And you don't not appreciate people's work. So much goes into making a film, whether it's the directing, the acting, the producer, whatever, producing. You have to appreciate people's efforts and based on what the time was. But in most recently, and again, this is conjecture. By the way, I have not seen the new West Side Story yet. I don't know why I haven't, but I haven't. So I don't know. I have nothing to say about it. Mm-hmm. But I think in what I've heard bits and pieces that if this may not be correct, but I'll say it anyway. I think Steven Spielberg made a big point that he was going to cast Hispanic roles with Hispanic people, and that's great. But I think he could have made his film without making that statement, and therefore bring it to everybody's attention. Because now I think so. It may have. I think it started in different ways. Maybe the Gone with the Wind is one example. There are tons of examples if you really want to go down that road. It's not just Gone with the Wind and West Side Story or anything else. There are so many films with different subjects that people will deal with differently now than they did at that time. It doesn't mean that anything was wrong. It's just that the mindset was different. I think I personally I'm not thrilled with the over-politicization, if I'm saying that word right, of what's going on today, because I think it limits people, and it emphasizes differences in everybody. And so we're not different. We're all of the same planet, the same country, and we should all be with each other and not separating into categories or ethnicities or anything like that. I think we all have to be in this world and in this game together.
In your perspective, if you're comfortable to share, what I would really like to know, because you are seasoned, you're educated, your experience is profound throughout like several decades worth. When it comes to the LGBT community and roles, I have never spoken with anyone who really either knows what they're talking about or has the experience. What is your thought, whether subjective or objective, through your personal experience, George? What is life like for those that are of the LGBT community, of women and men that are gay, when it means to cast for a role and to be in maybe portraying a role that is of a straight character? Is there any difference from the 50s and 60s and 70s to now? Has it gotten better? Is it not as open-minded?
I'll tell. I don't know. I'll tell you what comes to mind, because I did watch the Academy Awards, and I'm not going to say her name correctly. I don't think Adriana DeBose, who plays Anita in the new West Side Story. She says she's the first gay, however they say it, and to play a straight role. And I thought, well, why are we? Here we go again. We're making such a big deal about this. Actors should be able to play any role that they're cast to play. Mm-hmm. And thinking should be broad enough to allow people to do that. Rock Hudson, come on. I mean, the list goes on. It's endless. And this discussion could really be endless as well. And it doesn't need to be. It all should be simpler and less complicated than the world or than the entertainment business perhaps tends to make it. I think I'm not sure again, because I don't bother with social media, but it seems to me that social media has had an impact on people's thinking as well. But to try to answer your question, I mean, Montgomery Clift, and I'm saying this because I've never read a book about Montgomery Clift, but he was evidently gay, but of course he plays straight parts. I mean, I think you could go through women and men, and it's absolutely correct that they should do that. They shouldn't. Now that Ariana DeBose has told the world that she's gay, does that mean she can never play a straight role? She played a straight role in West Side Story. So I think that hopefully will answer your question. It's just, I think it's incorrect and it's wrong, and it limits people. It shuts people out if you try to separate them with ethnicity or gender or anything like that. An actor or an actress or performer should be able, if they're properly cast, to play any kind of part, whether it's Shakespeare, all kinds of roles in Shakespeare that are gender focused. I'm saying that wrong, but it's a creative business, and so I think the separation, I think, doesn't help anybody.
So, and I understood what you meant by that, George. I believe what you were trying to say is more gender neutral. Potentially, or so, if that's it.
Say that again, sorry.
I said what I heard, or what I believe you were trying to say, is like for the career or the industry to be more maybe gender neutral or open-minded in a way. And here's the reason why I wanted to get your perspective, and I really want to thank you, is because sometimes I get asked if I know anyone for whether scripted or unscripted shows. I just received information actually yesterday, and it referenced specifically for an upcoming reality TV show that they were looking for straight singles. And one of the things that I have brought up in conversation with casting directors or agents or some people in the industry, I said, I know people, but I was like, why does it need to be focused, or why does the question or proposal need to be whether or not it's open for everyone, is sometimes the verbiage is used, or straight only, or gay friendly. And I'm like, why does that reference have to be there? Because I know quite a few men and women that are of the LGBT community, but you would never know that they were gay, and they would be perfect for it. Or maybe they're open-minded, maybe they're poly, maybe they're bi. And I was told several times, but by somebody very well known in the business, who said to me many, many, many years ago, and I won't forget it, said to me, gay does not sell. Whether in music, TV, or film, gay does not sell.
Well, if you make such a point of it, and then there's all kinds of people who are uncomfortable with different things, whether they're uncomfortable with somebody who's Japanese, they're uncomfortable with somebody who's from the South, there's somebody who, because of gender or ethnicity, it's wrong, and to limit your casting to gay straight or I'm sorry, to gay something or gay white or straight white or I mean, again, you're accentuating the differences with people, and you're excluding a lot of people in the process. I mean, creativity goes out the window with this kind of thinking, and it's ultimately, I think, one of the things that I've noticed over the years, that people seem to be the most, they're always curious to know somebody's sexuality, and I've always wondered why. Why does somebody care about that? It's so stupid. I've never paid any attention to that myself. It doesn't matter to me. It really has never mattered. But so it's too much. There's much too much focus on these kinds of things, in my opinion, now. Not just sexuality, but ethnicity and all of that background and so on. That again separates people and excludes people. I think we shouldn't be doing that just in life, but we certainly shouldn't be doing it in the creative arts.
What would you say to someone, whether they're wanting to be a famous or popular or successful musician, actor, actress, whatever it may be? What words of encouragement would you have for them from what you've learned in your life, George, to possibly say, you know what, just make this simple for yourself?
Well, that's a good way to start. Make it simple for yourself. Because, listen, if you want to be a performer in any of their various fields, what matters is the performance, being able to be up to that being. If you're going to be a singer, of course, you have to work on your singing, your voice, material, songs, and so on. If you're an actor, you have to work in the theater. If you're a dancer, you have to go to class. But everybody has to be prepared to do what it is they really want to do. And so preparation is important, and being ready for any opportunity that might come. That's the point. And if an opportunity does come, just be grateful for it, and of course, always do the best you can. And I think most people always do the best that they can. It's just I think that's what people want to do.
Any upcoming projects? In addition to your book, George, what else do we have to look forward to? Are you still going out for leading roles?
Oh, no. You know what? Somebody asked me the other day if I'd retired, and I've never thought of it. Things just happen. You don't have to think about retiring. Things. Listen, I'll be 90 in September, so no, it's a different world for me. But I don't think of that in terms of work. And your interests change with time as well. And you also don't feel, at least I'm speaking for myself, I'm not as ambitious, I'll say, as I was when I was younger. I don't feel the need to be performing out in front of people and so on. We get to do that in different ways. But so I'm rambling on. But I've lost track of where I started. But the thing again is, and this has been true from the beginning, is to be ready and prepared for any job that you are lucky enough to have, and just to be good to people around you, and hopefully, and if you ever see something that's not right, so correct it if you can. Last night I was watching TCM has been doing some stuff on Doris Day, who I think is just so tremendous. But one of the beautiful things about her, aside from her talent, her gift, her presence, everything, was her love for animals and what she did for animals in her life, and that the Doris Day Foundation continues. But also, when she was doing her television shows, she paid really serious attention to the way people around her were treated, and that made a difference to her. And so that's important. I feel the same way. I like to be treated properly myself, and I like to see everyone else treated properly as well. That's to me is the way we should all be all the time.
We're going to add in this other incredible tidbit or golden gem about what you're doing in the world, George, is you are jewelry making. Are you still doing that?
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yes, I am. I have a website, and I sell stuff on my website. Yeah, it started as a hobby. I've lost track of how many years I've been doing it, but 30 years or something like that, maybe more. It started as a hobby, and I really loved doing it. And just to cut to the chase, it became more than a hobby. I was working with I found my way in the manufacturing district in downtown LA, and accidentally, through somebody that I was working, I met a Japanese distributor who had seen my stuff and wanted to represent me, which he ultimately did and has been doing all this time. He sells my things in Tokyo. So I wasn't pushing to get somewhere, but I got lucky again with, for example, with my distributor and so on, and people happily liking some of the things I made. So it became a small business, but something I really like to. I've always loved, and I think we all do. I think everybody has a hobby of some kind, and mine was, I had different hobbies over the years. I love painting, but jewelry making was just quite terrific. I really loved it because I loved being able to make something, and once you make it, you can hold it in your hand. And you can feel it, Again, jewelry making, I'm still into that and have been for quite some time. And then the other thing is, now and again, I'm called upon to give a talk, or in recent times it's been connected with the book, or at book signings and things like that. So that has taken up some time just in this last year. But prior to that, I wasn't. I don't remember myself looking for work, as it were. It's just that interests change with time, and I think that's healthy, and that's a good sort of evolution,
Who would you like to give a shout out to, George?
Say that again?
Who would you like to give a shout out to?
A shout?
Yeah, a shout out. Who would you like to give a thank you to? We call it a shout out, but who would you like to give a thank you to out there? Your mom, your dad? Who would it be?
Oh boy, I have so many people I've known in my lifetime that I would love to give a shout out to. Just been so great and to work with and meet and so on. But Jerome Robbins, I would love to give a shout out to Jerome Robbins, because I think, thanks to Jerry, I think it was Jerry who cast me as Riff in the London Company, and I don't know this. It's always just my feeling. It's a guess that it was Jerry who cast me as Bernardo in the film. So I have a never-ending shout out to Jerome Robbins, not just for casting me, but for just the great opportunity of being able to work with this amazing man.
I love that. George, thank you for being with us here on Live on Air with Steven Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio. And I want to thank everyone that are tuning in on the iOS or Android app, on the Power 98.5 Satellite Radio website, Alexa, and our other platforms where we are streaming, such as Streamitter, Streama, MyTuner, Live Radio FM. For all things George Chakiris, go to George, and then that's GeorgeChakiris.com. You will find his jewelry there, press, his blog, photos. A big thank you to your representative, George Harlan, for putting this all together. He's fantastic.
Yeah. He's great.
Anything else?
By the way, just one last thing.
Yeah, please.
I think in this gender thing, I have always, I don't know why, without thinking about it, have always respected people's privacy. I'm not curious about people that way. And I think now there's a lack of respect to some degree in people's privacy. I have no reason or right to know anything about somebody else unless they want to tell me. I don't. It's wrong for me to be curious and intrusive in somebody else's life. I would never do that.
George, do you think maybe because of social media we know too much?
Absolutely, yes, and yeah, because it's social media has given people something to do with their time, and it's time not necessarily well spent, and it takes people in directions that it gets complicated and unnecessary and not helpful really. It's good for us to be educated and informed, but not have friends in all parts of the world who we will never know or ever see, and they can't be friends. So it's a less interesting and a meaningful way to be a friend and to have a friend, because friends are in-person friends, and you can know a few people, I suppose, by phone in another way, but social media, I think, is probably helpful in some ways and very much not helpful in other ways. Yeah.
Do you think or believe that maybe social media one day is going to just collapse and just be its own worst enemy?
I think it could be, because even a thing like that, things change. We don't know technology changes constantly, and so I think it's possible that could something else could take over and get people's attention, and it won't be social media, it'll be something else. So social media could perhaps take a back seat and something new will take a front seat. So that's change, and that always does happen. But I just wish that anything with the internet, that the word respect could somehow be on everybody's mind, and not just because this thing we hear it all the time. There's no privacy anymore, and that's unfortunate, because but I think social media could perhaps eventually, as I said, take a backseat, and something new will take over, and hopefully it won't be something worse. It'll be something better.
I want to give you a big shout out of, once again, a happy birthday. September 16th will be your birthday. You will be 90 years old. George,
wow, yep.
It is an honor to have had you on here today with us.
Thank you. I really have loved talking to you. Thank you.
Well, you're more than welcome to come back anytime. Maybe we can do a happy 90th birthday celebration show.
Yeah, why not? That'd be terrific. Thank you.
George Chakiris, everyone. George Chakiris is an American actor. He's best known for his appearance in the 1961 film version of West Side Story as Bernardo Nuñez, the leader of the Sharks gang, for which he won both the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor and the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor for Motion Picture. George, I hope you have a great day out there. Enjoy the sunny California air and sunshine and everything else that goes with it. Please give and share with Harlan our love and support. You've got my direct number. Keep me posted. Harlan, if you're listening, keep me posted, of what's going on, and whether you have anything happening or not. George, would love to have you on anytime, even to get your thoughts on something that maybe is happening in the news or happening in the world, and you can shed some really, really great light and, points of view that we need.
The conversation. Thank you so much for that. I've really enjoyed my time with you, because we have covered some things that I don't normally get a chance to talk about. So thank you for your questions and your interests.
You're welcome, George. George Chakiris, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Live on Air with Steven Cuoco on Power 98.5 Satellite Radio. From here and all around the world, I'm Steven Cuoco. Have a great and most joyous afternoon. For all things George Chakiris, you can go to his website. He's got a gorgeous, amazing jewelry for purchase. Take a look at that. George Chakiris, that is George, and Chakiris is CHAKIRIS.com. Talk to you soon.
Friend us on your socials and let's connect.